button. Parlay Pete, I pressed the button. It's okay. Do what you got to do. Hey, we're live here. Parlay Pete's back, even though he's not on camera. I think we had our longest pre-production ever. It's kind of what happens when you don't really talk for a couple of weeks. And we were just catching up, talking about life, going down the topics, going down rabbit holes, all of this stuff. And I'll tell y'all, like straight up, the pre-pod show is so much better than the pod. Most people won't tell you that, but there's so much honesty in our pre-production that we'll never, ever put on the pod because we have people who care about us. We have images that we want to uphold. And, you know, at the end of the day, everybody has secrets. Everybody has skeletons in their closet. And not to say that we're talking about terrible things that we've done. It's just a level of honesty that exists in pre-production that doesn't exist in the show because we want to give you our best selves. You know, we want to give you our best selves. So while I wait for Parlay Pete to come back, I'm just going to sit here and ramble about absolutely nothing because I got to have him here to properly introduce the show. And he's talking in the background as if anybody can make out those words. It's okay. Sitting here watching Dallas versus the Aces because, you know, we support the NBA, the WNBA on this podcast. You know, I don't even feel comfortable calling it the WNBA. You know, it's basketball. It's professional basketball, National Basketball Association. We shouldn't even have to put gender on the league, right? Oh, yeah, they call it the W. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend Monica McNutt, even though I'm about to burst her bubble. I'm going to crack that nut.
That's what it is. It's the W.
Man, I should have sent you this Jason Whitlock stuff I was listening to yesterday, but let me tell you, he had his way with Monica McNutt and Stephen A. And he wasn't even disrespectful, low-key, to Stephen A. He was just like, you know, Stephen A. has to, you know, toe the company line. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Hey, Parlay Pete, how we doing?
We've had better days, but you know what? We're doing fantastic, especially after our pre-production meeting. I needed to talk to you. So,
hey, no, that's why I didn't even want to rush out of it because we needed our non-sports related friend talks before we started the show. Let's go ahead and get this out the way. These are very important things to talk about. Happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm going to start with that first because we are men who value our mental health, and that is more of a priority for us because we are men and we have mental health that we care about. And I also want to say Happy Pride Month. To those who celebrate Pride, you know, cis, straight, gay, lesbian, LG, bi, trans, I'm not gonna say, you know,
and everybody, man,
the LGBTQI plus community. Happy Pride Month to you all. Celebrate yourselves, celebrate your lives. And hopefully nobody's mistreating you because of your life choices. You know, they can disagree.
Report them and cancel them.
Yeah, I mean, get them out of here. Get them fired. Ruin their lives just because they are ruining your life. But, hey, I want you all to understand that some people will disagree with your lives. And just because, and for those who disagree, just because you disagree, that doesn't mean you should treat them any differently. It's just like Parlay Pete and I can disagree on a sports take, but we're still the best of friends. I think that should be the same way about people's lifestyles, as long as it doesn't affect children. It doesn't affect people who can't, you know, oppress people who can't actually change their situation and stuff like that. You know, that's what I stand on. If that's unpopular, I don't really care. But, you know, I hate the idea that I have to agree with your lifestyle. And if I don't agree with your lifestyle, that means I hate you. It's like, nigga, no, I just don't agree with some shit you did or you
get over yourself. Really. I mean, got know what else to say.
Hey, but isn't it crazy how important people think they are?
Yeah. Like, and this is the even crazier part. Everybody knows like that they are important because we're all one and the same. We're all human beings. But then it's like, but no, you're not. At the same time, in the same respect, you're also not important. So humble yourself and have a healthy balance of knowing both.
Stay humble. Sit down. You know, some people think like you are important to the people that you are important to, but to those that you aren't important to, you don't really matter, you know?
Oh, yeah. They don't give a fuck.
Like, you. I've had conversations with people and we talk about, you know, unfortunate things that happen in society. And I just be like, you know, somebody just died. And you don't care. Yes, I do. I'm like, no, you don't. You know why? Because you still get paid on Friday. You didn't know that person. It doesn't affect you. So you don't care. And it's okay not to care about things that don't affect you. And I wish more of our society would care less about things that don't affect them instead of focusing on having like this moral conscience and standing on this moral high ground that means very little to them.
Right.
I like, dog. I care about my friends, I care about my family, and I care about my paycheck.
And that's it.
I mean, think about it, Parlay.
And your God.
And my God. Yeah, obviously. That goes
I tell you, not your God, the God.
Yeah, because this is a Christian-based podcast. Oh, speaking of which, huh?
No, I was gonna say that to any of the viewers, if you don't respect it, turn it off.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a plug on a Falcons group that when we get close to football season, we'll start posting the pod in there too.
Okay.
It's about 4.
You know, one of the ones that because I know obviously how we break it up. I think I told you guys I'm a member of the Falcoholics. I actually have not posted on there in a minute, but the first time I ever posted, I gave my opinion on a lot of things. I was upvoted. I was like the top upvote of the day. Literally, it was like 100 and something people that upvoted me. So I was like, all right, maybe I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to a team I've been watching my whole life. Like,
yeah, I think I know for a fact as we get closer to football season, I'm going to get more active in the Falcoholic. Obviously, I'll be closer to the city. You know, I listened to clips on Club 520, Jeff Teague's podcast. But I never really watched it though. And I watched a pod last week and I looked at their setup and I'm definitely setting up the next office in that way because their podcast is a one widescreen shot. So we can obviously do more in-person stuff because we'll be living closer to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just a great setup that requires minimal editing. It's like, hey, Cindy, start the camera. All right, baby, love you, bye.
Yeah. No, it should be beautiful. And then with college football too, coming into full swing. And, you know, we're at the epicenter of football, certainly in the college universe. But I think even in the NFL, there's a good chance. I don't know if you watched gosh, I know we were going to kind of do NBA first. Low key, cue the Falcons music. Let's just go Falcons first. Just for the fuck of it. I don't feel a wrench in it, but we got to do it.
Guys, here's what we're doing. We're going to run the I got you. We're getting ready to run the piss out football. Trying to get something going. I got you. We are all here to do what Falcons do.
I don't know what's going on with the audio there.
It didn't sound good?
No, not on my end. It didn't. But
my apologies.
It doesn't matter. We'll fire the sound engineer later. Point being, you know, now that I think about it, we really could actually start off with Falcons first. And the
hold on. You're firing your co-host? That hurts my feelings.
No, I didn't say co-host. I said the sound engineer. Look, hey, I think Popovich or Belichick, one of those guys, doesn't mean that they weren't the coach anymore. I think that they just got relieved of their other duties. But doesn't mean that they weren't an important part of this or it wasn't theirs. Like, look, I think Red Auerbach was the GM of the Celtics for a long time. And then after a minute, he became the president. Like, it just started. Rich McKay, look, Rich McKay's hands are still all over the fucking Falcons. Doesn't mean he's the GM anymore. Maybe. But no. I think that starting with the Falcons first actually makes a lot of sense, especially because we're at now it's involuntary.
Yeah,
OTA.
I show up.
Yeah, now it's if you don't show up, you don't get a paycheck. And one of the things that I'm a big fan of the Rich Eisen podcast, or Rich Eisen show. It's not even a podcast, but the clips on YouTube, because I guess it's on Roku. I don't think it's on NBC radio, sports radio. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is, who he has to deal with. But point being, they had an interesting take with the Falcons. So they did it. They're going division by division each day.
Okay.
And we're essentially the NFC South was second in terms of the division that they went through. And essentially, Rich Eisen broke down, him and his crew, they broke down how far can they take it. And when they did how far they could take it, basically, what is the best case scenario for a season? So they went through it. Like for the Panthers, they said the best case scenario for the Panthers would be Bryce Young shows a pulse, becomes a much better quarterback. The weapons that they surround him really help him. Dave Canales gets the most out of him, and they win 8 games. So they were like, the best case scenario for a Panthers team this season will be they'd be 8-9. Which I was like, you know what? If Bryce Young does show up, I'm like 8-9. I was like, honestly, that does sound like a good. I was like, somebody else in the division's got to be pretty bad for that to happen. But like
the
8-9. Well, then they moved on to the Saints. That's who they went to next, and they said, no more Carmichael, no more Sean Payton offense, completely different offense. The defense is still pretty good. Derek Carr looks more like the best of Derek Carr that we've seen in the past with the Raiders.
Sure.
And they win the division at 10 or 11 wins. And he says they get to the second round. And then he went Tampa next because I was like, okay, he's going in order of who he thinks are the best teams. In the order that he really thinks the division is going to end up going in. And so then he went Tampa, and he said Super Bowl. He said they'll win the Super Bowl. He said that's the best case scenario. Yeah, I was a little surprised when he said that because I was like, I said, you know what I know what it is? And this is the way he broke it down. Lions, think about it. They did almost beat the Lions. They could have beaten the Lions. They could have won that game. Yeah, and that was just last year. So now you get year 2 of Baker. And you've got Mike Evans happy. He's got paid, this, that, and the third. He said they drafted an old lineman out of Duke. I think I made a little fun of that in our group messages. Or not group, maybe just me and you's direct messages. But basically that, this guy comes in, he's a stud. He solidifies that offensive line. The run game becomes better. And he said that they're just much more explosive of an offense, but that they could win. That he said that's the best case scenario for them. So I was like, okay. So I was like, clearly he thinks that they're either going to win the division or wild card once they do their actual predictions, probably in August. And then he went Falcons last, and he said, win the Super Bowl, of course, right? Like that is the best case scenario. He said the best case scenario, and he went to a T on how that season would have to go. He said, what would be the best case scenario? Hot start, winning a ton of games. He said, and honestly, he said, if I'm being frank here, he was like, Kirk Cousins gets injured and gets knocked out of a game, and you justify drafting Penix, and he comes in. He doesn't do too much to where you're like, oh man, they got to start him over Cousins, but he does enough to win those games. He gets knocked out of a game, Penix wins the game, and then he starts the next game and doesn't do too much, but it doesn't do too little and wins the game. And essentially, that because of how hot of a start the team is, like basically he's saying like a 6-2, 7-1 type start, but then Penix wins the next 2 games. You continue to start Cousins, he wins. I don't know how he thought potential MVP because I'm like, well, if he misses 2 games, I mean, he'd have to be lights out statistically. But
800 yards.
Kirk Cousins wins the MVP. He says Bijan Robinson, Offensive Player of the Year. He said, and the Falcons are hoisting the Lombardi and righting a wrong in Atlanta sports history. And I said, honestly, I said, that sounds really good. Because it would make sense if Penix could play a part in us winning a Super Bowl in a season because he won some games.
I got a question for you.
Injury, not because like Kirk Cousins was bad.
I got a question for you.
Go for it.
Would Extends, Viagra, Cialis, or a honey pack give you better wood than a Falcons Super Bowl?
No, nothing would touch a Falcons Super Bowl wood. I mean, I think you want to start talking about stuff that will make people die and be okay with dying and saying, I got this in my life. It's that. I think I can die peacefully knowing that the Falcons won the Super Bowl.
Let's just put it out here now. If the Falcons make the Super Bowl, Julian Turner has to fly to the Atlanta area and watch the Super Bowl with us.
Oh, brother, I'm going to be there if that's the case. You know why? Because it's in New Orleans. And that was another thing that he threw out there, too. He said, what better of a way than to win the Super Bowl in New Orleans? He said, I don't think that he said it trumps even the New Orleans Super Bowl winning first. He said, how could it be any better? You get the party in their city after winning the Super Bowl. He said it gets no better than that. So I would go, no, seriously, I would go to New Orleans. I'd go because it's New Orleans.
I'd go to the city itself if my job, because, I'm about to get a new job and I don't know what time off looks like. If my new job permits me going down there.
And I know it won't happen this year, but this is exactly why they're proposing the whole President's Day thing. A lot of people have President's Day off, like, because it technically is a holiday. It's a federal holiday, but like some people get it off that aren't federal. Like some people get that day off, even when it's not federal. It's just like any other federal holiday. Like our guys don't work on Memorial Day. Like they don't work on Labor Day. But President's Day is another one of those weird holidays where some people do get off, some people don't. And that's why it would set up so well, because that following Monday would always be President's Day.
That's my only push for the 18-game season. I'm not really with that. But you know what, Rich Eisen? You gave me a smooth medium. I like where you're going with that pause. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're nuts.
As long as I'm not Monica, I'm okay. Your prediction.
We'll get on her a little later. That's another pause. I don't want anyone to think I'm.
No, you ain't gonna pause. That's a woman. You can get on her if that's. I
just want to get on her,
but I'm excited about the Falcons season. I hear we're gonna utilize Bijan a little bit more than we did last year.
That was another thing that came out. He came out and spoke about that and said more like a Christian McCaffrey, which was encouraging to hear. Yeah. I need to see it, but it's encouraging to hear because it's like, well, gosh, if he can give us 1,300, 1,400 yards rushing, and then, man, I'll be fine with 400 or 500 yards. Because I know that Algier's gonna get a little ass too. He's gonna have to get in on there, and then there's gonna be so much ball distribution to the receivers because we do. This is a so much improved receiving core.
Darnell Mooney.
Put it this way: Ray McLeod is wide receiver 5, and like Ray McLeod would have been wide receiver 3 last year. So your wide receiver 5 would be your wide receiver 3 last year. Rondale Moore probably would have been wide receiver 2 last year over Mac Hollins. And remember, you still have Kyle Pitts, who's going to get the ball. Like Kyle Pitts, and actually Zach Robinson, I meant to text you this. Zach Robinson even it came out, and when they asked him, this is what he said. He said that Kyle Pitts is going to be a wide receiver. That's what he said.
That's what we want to hear as fans.
Hey, me too. Look, my dick started to I did tangled a little. I mean, because I was just, and me and Justice, we talked about it in the office. It was one of those things where it was like, man, I think that Kyle gets such a bad rap because his rookie year, he did only have 1 touchdown, but he had 1,000 yards. And the thing is that to me, that was more of his true start as opposed to the injury-riddled second season and then the Desmond Ridder third season. Like, that was more of the start of what he could be. Matt Ryan was still, in a weird way, a shell of himself even then.
Oh, not in a weird way, and obviously.
Well, I'm just saying. That's why it was Matt's last season here. Matt's last season here, he gets 1,000 yards out of him. So why can't Kirk Cousins get that? Like, all we got to do is look at T.J. Hockenson, and even before T.J. Hockenson, Irv Smith Jr. Like, these were guys that he was still feeding the ball. Who was it in D.C.? Was it it wasn't Logan Thomas. We always have this fucking conversation. Who was the tight end there? It wasn't Logan Thomas. We've literally had this conversation. It's like deja vu to me talking about it right now.
Let's see. What year was
I'm going to type in like 2015 Redskins roster.
I'm looking at it. Let's see.
Jordan Reed.
Yep.
Jordan Reed made some Pro Bowls. Like, Jordan Reed was pretty good, I guess is my point. Kirk Cousins finds the tight end. I guess is really what I'm trying to say in a nutshell.
And he's going to find Darnell Mooney up the seam.
I know. Well, that's where the tampering comes in, right? Which actually there was news on that too. Apparently that's supposed to come down, if not later this week, like tomorrow, Friday, maybe next week. But I saw that something on Pro Football Talk that was supposed to come down this week for us and the Eagles. So we'll get to see what happens. But, I mean, it just gets you more and more excited about football season. And that's why I guess it made sense to just go ahead and talk Falcons first. And,
look,
I mean,
this is a Falcons podcast.
It is.
We love the Falcons. We invest our time, our funds into the Falcons. And you know, like I talk about it all the time. We're not you watch them every Sunday, Falcons fans. We walked into the Benz every home game knowing that we had Dez slinging the ball, and we barely had a chance, and we didn't care.
I have flown to see these motherfuckers for 3 or 4 road games every year for like the last 6 years. That is how committed I am. And we haven't been a playoff team in those 6 years. So there's a starvation going on. You got whatever they're building right here, this multi-entertainment system, which I guess will be up maybe by year 2. Actually, really, in a weird way, because the World Cup's here in 2026, they're really setting it up for when Penix takes over. I don't know, something I kind of just noticed. And when I'm like, oh, okay, the World Cup is the summer of 2026. That 2026-2027 season, Penix should be, you know, that's 2 years later. I mean, unless Kirk wins the Super Bowl the next 2 years, pretty much that's who's going to be, you know, running the show by then, and then everything will be built up over here. Hell, he might be living over here. I don't know where the fuck he's gonna be living, but like,
do you think that young lady who's with him at draft night is gonna stay with him?
You know, the odds are up 50-50 always. Is CeeDee Lamb still with the chick that was taking his phone? Russ is not with the white chick that looked too excited that he got drafted in the 3rd round. It's a 50-50 chance. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance.
You wouldn't be with that.
If she is with them. Is she with them long enough to where she gets a cut? Because there's so many guys that get drafted and then they're not with their wives after a certain point. It's a 50-50 thing.
She needs to she needs to get knocked up.
That's the easiest ticket, right? Because you get knocked up in year 3, year 4, and he's a superstar. Hell, 18 years, he won't be in the league. The thought would be he wouldn't. I mean, unless he's Tom Brady or any of these other guys that just have found the fountain of youth, LeBron James, guys like that. You know, they're not going to be in the league, but you'll get every game check on the way out. Because it's going to be based on how much they make. It's not going to be based on how much they made. How much do they make?
Yeah.
Because that's what that's based on. It's based on how much you make, not how much you made.
And the goal is 12 years.
18 is the goal.
Yeah, I'm saying as a player, you want to get about 12.
Oh, yeah. 12 minimum. Now, look, I think 16 is the new 12. Like now, JC 30 is the new 20.
Yeah. But if he's smart, he'll put stuff in his mom's name and she'll invest his money.
No, 40 is the new 30. No.
30's the new 20, I think.
God, but you know, that's how you know how old we are. because that would mean that Jay-Z was like in his 30s making that song.
Yeah,
We're in our 30s.
What album is that? The one we don't like.
Kingdom Come, yeah, this is worse.
Kingdom Come. When did that come out?
It's 30 something. That's the name of the song. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah.
Kingdom Come, Jay-Z. I don't care about Deliverance. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it's 30 something. That's the name of the song.
Yeah, the album came out in 2006, man. November. I was in high school.
Jay's pushing 50. Jay's got to be 50.
Let's see. How old is Jay-Z?
54.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's how you know, though. It's like, well, Hov was in his 30s when he made that.
How old is his wife? She's 42.
40. Yeah.
Well,
Actually,
we don't talk.
I know how old Jay-Z is because Jay-Z and Mariana have the same birthday.
Yeah.
And the day that she was born was Jay-Z's 50th birthday. And he released all of his music from Tidal, and it was now on Spotify, which was a big relief for like someone like me. Because I love Jay-Z. Like, I love Jay's music. But, yeah, I'll always remember that.
You want a Tidal guy?
Hell no. I loved what he was doing. Like, when he set it up.
Sean Carter was born December.
Yeah, I play this song every day, every on Mariana's birthday. And we listen to it in the car. Whether typically it's going to school, but just when I see her, regardless, it gets played in the car.
Yep.
And of course, her mother being from New York, there's a lot of but Jay is literally, I mean, Kanye's my favorite artist, but like Jay-Z is still probably my favorite rapper, like just rapper. And I don't know, I love Jay's music is great to me, like it's great.
Oh,
like
you got the OVO chain tucked today, I see.
No, I like Drake. I don't love Drake's music. I like Drake. I only love Kanye and Jay's music. And I tell you, there's another artist whose music I love. Yeet. I love Kid Cudi. I love Kid Cudi's old music.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Yeet.
No, I'm not Anthony Gambles.
I'm so happy he is Anthony Carl and not Carl Anthony.
He still has not put on that cheerleading outfit. And look, is he going to wear it for the whole season? I mean, we got to do something. Something's got to be done about that. We're not going to sweep it under the rug. And I'm sure Justice, he probably would at least want the funds that were supposed to go towards that. If, in fact, he's not. Because now it's summertime now. So it's kind of like, you know.
You know what? I'm going to shoot a group text.
It hasn't happened yet.
I'm going to shoot a group text to the commish right now. Just me and you. Because
he hadn't done it, and so now it's not it's throwing everything off. So because the scheduling of everything, and I know that once we get our draft going,
I don't have Joel's number. Oh, I already have his name. I'm sorry. Like, where's Joel's name? Let's see.
You haven't saved in your phone as Joel?
Yeah, Joel Boykin.
Okay. I just had Boink.
I saved his number on my phone in like 2011 before we were like actually like really friends.
No. I mean, I've got your number saved as Lee only. I don't have anything else.
Your number in my phone was Hodges for the longest, and I finally added your first name. Because when I originally saved your number, I didn't know how to spell your name. And, you know, I didn't want to spell it wrong because I know what spelled it wrong. Yeah. And so then I just changed it recently because every time I go to text you, I start spelling your name.
And then it doesn't come up, and you're like, oh.
Pop up somebody, let me change this.
Yeah.
Hey, when is Gambles gonna get silly in the cheerleading suit?
Question mark.
Like I'm trying to see the Compton Clovers.
And then this was another point of it too. I know we had talked about either a belt or a trophy. Are we doing like?
I mean, yeah.
I know that. I don't remember what the budget was. I think everybody. It was $20 extra. So 20 times 12 is 200 and something, or maybe it's 15. I don't remember. But it was either extra 10 or 20 that everybody put in. So what does the cheerleading outfit's going to be like $60?
Yeah,
right?
And I know the money's in good play, like in a good spot, right? I don't think
I'm not worried about the money. It's just more of like a
shame.
well, why hadn't we done it? It's more of what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Hey,
we need to figure that out, though.
Hey, the text has been sent. Hopefully he's on video game duty tonight and not fucking husband duty. Because if he's on husband duty, we'll get a response, tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, no, I see.
I'm trying to see the Compton Clovers, buddy.
Yeah, and especially because they're all within striking distance of each other. I mean, the video setup because we're all obviously we'll never be able to coordinate everybody being in one place at one time.
And we'll never wear the cheerleading outfit.
Yeah, and even on my end, I would still like for us to potentially, if it can work out, everybody to where maybe we can set up. We don't have to be together for the draft. But if we can, because we do it at Labor Day weekend, so it's just kind of like, well, if we can make it work, like ideally, Josh, and I think the last time I spoke to Josh on the phone, we talked about this. I was like, we don't have to go West Coast. I said Vegas is always great, but like over here. Oh, okay, the biggest stick, huh? Yeah. Well, I'm glad he's tuned in at the right time because that's exactly what we're talking about. And so I already made that suggestion. I said, well, what are we going to do about that? Because he brought Gambles. He brought up Yeet, which brings up Gambles, which then reminded me that, hey, what are we going to do about that?
Hey, you know what? Two of the most powerful owners in the league have contacted Roger and put a little fire under his ass.
Yeah. So we'll see what he says, but like I said, it was just a concern to me. I mean, we haven't gotten a cheerleading uniform purchase. There hasn't been one worn. There's no Instagram video. There's no nothing. And so let me tell you exactly. Well, OTAs are already beginning. I mean, we know what next year's roster looks like for the most part. I mean, there's maybe somebody gets injured and maybe somebody gets cut from another team post June 1 cuts, but like. I bought up the belt too. You don't have to worry. I bought that up. I bought up the belt. I mean, like I said, we have not.
Yeah, we haven't seen nothing.
Yeah, and this literally came up organically too. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like one of those things. Like I was not thinking about this. It was only until you brought up Yeet. Then I thought about Galen. Then I was like, well, hold on. Why hadn't this happened? And so,
what did Jerry say when they were doing the contract negotiations? Don't fuck.
Exactly. And so we just that does need to get settled. And honestly, to me, it's not good enough to just say, okay, let's say it gets addressed tomorrow and like it's bought. And then he puts it on and then he posts it. Dollar Tree Mookie.
I'm not going to post that comment.
Yeah, but well, I already said it. Shit. But like, I don't think it's good enough, even if it's bought tomorrow and he gets it by Monday and puts it on and posts it. It's not good enough because then it has to. Is it going to still sit for a year? Then it overlaps the loser. Then it overlaps the loser from next year.
You know what? I might just look it up tomorrow while I'm at work and just send it to Boink's crib and be like, "Hey, it's there.
Put it on." Tell him to put it on.
Tell him to put it on.
Address.
Hey, Parlay Pete, put that shit on.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the dance he should do to it. But maybe that's what should happen. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But it does need to get addressed. And even like I said, even if this year, if the money does go to the winner, then we've got to be on it. I'm talking as soon as the season ends.
Yeah, and you know
what?
what?
Motherfucker that loses wears it. I mean, they got to wear it before the divisional round of the playoffs and post it.
Maybe we put in like a rule where if you don't pay in, you don't draft. You pick up the scraps.
Can he make that work?
I don't know. I'm about the commissioner.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get it all figured out. like, I'm not really worried about it, but like, it is something that we probably really do need to put together.
Yeah, we need to address
who's El Chio? New
subscriber. El Chicote, what's happening? Thanks for the sub, man. We appreciate you. Where you from? Drop it in the comments. Parlay Pete, we've spent 35 minutes not talking about what we plan to open with, but the NBA Finals are here.
Yeah, they are.
Finally, Jason Tatum is in the NBA Finals.
It's only a second time. It's crazy. I think because everybody looks at the Celtics and say, man, this is such a stacked roster. This year, Mexico, good deal.
Hey, shout out to Mexico. What part? But yeah, the Celtics had a stacked roster. They've only lost 20 games so far, including the playoffs. They have, did you hear about the Boston Globe article that came out?
Regarding
them being looked at as an all-time great team based on the analytics.
You know, let me tell you, the starting five is tough. Like, they got a really, really tough starting five. Like, I would not discredit the idea of when people look at that starting five. And I think it's because of how Derek White's played. Because he's considered the weakest member of that starting five, but he's had a 40-point playoff game. You know what I mean? So, like,
if he were in a contract year, he'd be getting a $30 million a year contract.
This is exactly like B.J. Armstrong when he was on the Bulls in '96, because I think, or maybe Ron Harper had taken over as the starting. Okay, all right. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at the second three-peat Bulls.
Okay.
And obviously this is a stretch because it's the Celtics and there's no Michael Jordan, there's no Scottie Pippen, there's no Dennis Rodman. But the point is this: if Luke Longley or Ron Harper or maybe B.J. Armstrong, I don't know who the starter was that first year when they won 70-something games, if they were putting up a game where they scored 40 points, like, people would like be fucking going nuts. So that's why I feel like in the playoffs, like, that's why I feel like if you look at it that way, like, starting five-wise, they are tough as hell. Yeah. He's from Jalisco. That's okay. Jalisco, man. Hey, that tequila, I was about to say, goddamn. But, well, shout out to you, El Chicote.
Tell your friends about us.
Absolutely. Much appreciated. We were just talking about Latino culture too. But that was well before we got on. It was other things. Nonetheless, I think that if you look at the Celtics, they aren't, to me, in that rarefied air, though. I don't think they are. I think that like, yeah, they ran through their playoffs. They ran through the playoffs kind of they're 12-2. Do you want to put them in that category? I don't think so.
I don't put them in that category. Like, think about the teams in that category. Jordan's Bulls. Who was their coach? Phil Jackson. Kobe's Lakers. Pick a time. Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
LeBron's Heat. LeBron's Heat.
Big three. Big start of the big three era.
And who's their coach?
Pat Riley. But basically, Pat Riley. Let's just call it what it really is.
Pat Riley and Spo. But we regard Spo as one of the best coaches in the league.
Well, there's some sort of an architect on any of these teams. People look at that. One of those, we didn't even talk about this, and I know we're in the basketball now. If you look at Bill Walton, right? Bill Walton was on rest in peace to Bill Walton, but like Bill Walton was on that Celtics team that everybody regards. Some people think the 86 Celtics are like one of the best teams of all time. They won 60-something games too. But who's the architect of the team? Who's the GM? Red Auerbach. So you start talking about
Larry Bird.
Yeah, but Mikhail Parrish, all these Hall of Famers. I don't see all the Hall of Famers on like this Celtics team. I don't think that Joe Mazzulla was a Hall of Fame coach. There's like just so many different ways that you can look at it.
I see the Hall of Fame players. I don't see the Hall of Fame coach because players hate them.
But even the architect of the team is it? I guess it's Danny Ainge. Technically.
Oh, hell no, it ain't Danny Ainge. You gonna give my man, you gonna give Brad his respect.
No, but Danny hired Brad, and Danny also is the one that drafted Tatum and Brown. He drafted them.
Together.
Yeah, okay.
But Brad got Drew.
Danny got Derek White too. That was like one of his last moves. He traded for him.
He was gone already. That was Brad Stevens. Derek White came last year.
Did he?
Danny was already. He was consulting.
They traded for him in the middle of the year.
Yeah. So Brad brought in Drew, Derek, and Kristaps. Now think about the Hall of Famers though, because they got the Hall of Famers. Al's getting in the Hall of Fame. It's the basketball Hall of Fame.
Do you think so? I know, but what's he done? Florida. Yeah.
If they win a championship this year,
why does it feel like Christian Laettner is like the floor for Hall of Fame? Is Christian Laettner in as a player?
Let's see. I'll look it up.
I know he's in on the dream team, but is he in as a player?
If you talk, I'll look it up because I'm typing.
I'm already looking it up, and I'm faster than you. All right. He is not in the Hall of Fame as a player.
Good.
He's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. But here's the thing. Even with Christian Laettner, obviously we know who he is college-wise. But from a pro standpoint, he's an all-rookie first team, and he made one NBA All-Star team. Which, crazy enough, he was an Atlanta Hawk when he made it, too. But
yeah, it was like 20 a game.
Yeah, and so
I'm looking at Al Horford. Wow.
He's a 4 or 5-time All-Star.
You know what? Let me go to Wikipedia instead of Basketball Reference because it's easier here. So Al Horford is 5-time All-Star, one-time All-NBA third team, one-time All-NBA second defensive second team, one-time All-Rookie team, 2-time champion. Yeah, he's in.
He's in. They'll get him in. He probably shouldn't. He's in the Hall of Very Good, as you like to say about Matt Ryan. He's in the Hall of Very Good. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. And the only reason I say that, and look, I watched Al, of course. Like, we watched Al.
Yeah.
Here in Atlanta. Like, I got to see him up close in person, like, for literally almost his whole duration here. We had season tickets. And, like, the thing is that Al, to me, is always been the epitome of a solid professional. He seemed like somebody that the Spurs should have drafted, honestly, to be like Tim Duncan's predecessor. Like, he seemed like he would have more so fit like that, which Coach Bud is who he kind of – I was with Woody and Larry Drew, but, Bud coached him for a long time too.
Yeah.
He seemed like he would have fit more of that style of play. I don't think that Al's numbers warrant him to be a Hall of Famer. I think that the Hawks were always a playoff team, and he was a double guy. And, like, he was technically the second best player on the Hawks behind Joe Johnson, because Josh Smith was never really the second. Too inconsistent. Jeff Teague, good player, but, like, not that good. And I'm talking about that prime Hawks team of, like, literally when they were second behind the Spurs in playoff appearances every year. And to me, Al Horford was never there in terms of a Hall of Famer. But he gets in based on what you said. But even back to – and I'm going to let you talk. But even back to what you're saying, the Celtics have that, but they don't. That doesn't warrant them as a best team. He's supposed to be coming off the bench if Porzingis is back. He's a sixth man at this point.
Well, here's the biggest problem with the Celtics, right?
Am I doing it right?
Hey, you talk real quick. I'm gonna fix the Celtics real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay, you go for it. Well, if I knew better, I would think that you were talking about neckbeard. And for those that are viewing right now, neckbeard is Joe Mazzulla. So that's going to be my assumption of what AC Lee's got for us in terms of why that Celtics team is going to be held up. But I don't know. I don't think that the Celtics are one of these teams that is feared in a way to where people could say that if they do win it all, that they're going to be one of those best teams. It just doesn't strike me as that type of team. And I think what makes it so sad is that the Celtics do have this potential to win a championship, but obviously I don't even have them as the team that I really like to win it all. I know that we're going to get to it and we'll get to kind of that aspect of the show, but I'm not a big fan of taking them in this series. I think that they're slightly overmatched in a weird way with the way that Dallas is playing and the way that Dallas team has come together since the trades that they made. The Dallas Mavericks haven't lost games. They've lost 5 games, guys. 5 games since the trade deadline. That includes the playoffs. Dallas Mavericks have been fucking balling out of control. That's a team that I don't think is that. Looks like you're shaving.
Gotta get rid of that neck beard. Neck beard is the problem. I don't give a damn if he shaved. The Boston Celtics got to get rid of neck beard. You cannot be a great team with neck beard on the sideline. You can't. Will it get complicated for Irving when they play in Boston? Hell no, it ain't gonna get complicated for Kyrie when he get in Boston. He gonna be stomping all on that little Celtic racist man all fucking series. I love Dallas from 6.
Well, but here's the thing, too. At the end of the day, and I know that everybody likes statistics, right? Statistics seem to run the world in terms of anything that's a business decision. So
girls run the world.
Business decisions. And business decisions get into sports betting. And sports betting says the Celtics are the favorite. A lot of people look at this and they say, well, Kyrie Irving has lost 10 games in a row in Boston. Now, that dates back to him in not New Jersey. Brooklyn. And, of course, his time for Madden. And they did play, both of them actually did play in both of those games against Boston this year. Now, what I was kind of saying while you were going to go shave your neck beard was that since the trade deadline, the Dallas Mavericks have only lost 6 games.
Best team in the league.
That includes the play. Exactly. They've had the best record in the NBA since they made those trades. And my thought is this: the style of play. And do you remember this was before the playoffs started, or maybe it was as soon as the playoffs started, but we talked about it maybe in the Clipper series, but maybe it was before that. I told you how their style of play is so unorthodox to the point at where I was like, man, they're really hard to beat. Not because it's like, I was like, it's not even fucking pretty. It's just more of like a, God, how do you fucking keep winning like this? And it's because like Luka Doncic, bro. And because Kyrie Irving can show up and do like everything else. Like he can do it all. Luka having a bad scoring night is him having like 23, 24. And if Kyrie goes for 30, you're in the game but if you get a Derrick Jones Jr. to give you 17, Tim Hardaway, who I know didn't really play in the last series, but kind of during the season still had been an important piece. And we've seen him here in Atlanta and elsewhere in New York. There's been like plenty of places where like Tim Hardaway Jr. was a pretty good player and notably more so of a 6-man for a lot of teams. Derek Lively and fucking Gafford looking like DeAndre
and Blake.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, this Lob City with them niggas. Like, so it's just kind of like one of those things where I look at the matchup being rough, especially if Porzingis is not healthy the way, even though they said that he's on track to play in game 1.
He ain't played in 37 days.
Well, as well as Boston has played. So what are they going to do? Is Porzingis going to come off the bench, or is Al Horford going to start? Or is
hell no. They can't start Al Horford.
Questions. It's 7-game series now. It's 7 games left in the season, potentially, for those teams. You need 4 wins. What are you going to do?
El Chicote, yeah, a 7-game is definitely possible. It is more than likely. Honestly.
I think it's likely too. I do. Which is what gets to my point of what we were even talking about to begin with here, is what you said was Boston was put in that category of one of those teams. Those teams that go in that category don't go to 7.
No.
They don't go 7. Those best teams, those best playoff team, best regular, like those teams don't go 7.
No, they don't, especially with an unproven team who hasn't done it. You know what I mean? It would be different if they were playing against Denver, and Denver's trying to repeat. You're like, okay, it goes 7.
And it's a Denver team that's ran out of gas. Because that's kind of what it looked like against the Timberwolves, oddly enough. The Lakers could have won
all those games.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that they got punched in the mouth physically because they played a defensive team and it looked like they ran out of gas. Dallas only looked better as they've gone on. And they beat a good, even though Kawhi didn't play, they beat a really good Clippers team talent-wise. They beat a talented Clippers team. Hell, Clippers got the highest paid coach in the NBA today. Pop's contract might be higher, but we don't know.
Pop's contract is private.
Exactly, just like Belichick's. Like nobody knows how much he really makes. But they beat a talented Clippers team, young OKC team that honestly I think a lot of us really did think that they were going to beat, but clearly still a talented OKC young team. They beat a young team already. They beat a young team, and then they beat a young team that had playoff experience. That was the number 1 defensive team in 5. And so
I might sound, this may be totally inappropriate, but I got this Texas-Oklahoma softball game on, Women's College World Series.
Oh, you took it off of NBA TV?
Yeah, the game's over.
They're talking about the 20-year.
I don't give a fuck about that, but number 21 from Texas, she got some upside.
Well, I just turned it back to ESPN, so I'll take a peek here. But you go ahead, you tell us a little bit more about the goddamn.
So here's the thing. Luka's is the best player in the series. Jason Tatum.
Freak.
Jason Tatum.
I know why you're saying 21's got some upside. I'm looking at this replay.
Yeah, you got backside, you got upside. Shout out to EB. But nah,
she mulatto. She looks mixed.
Hey, I don't care what she is.
Tell you what, hold on. Let me fact check this real quick. Henry softball.
But no, so Luka's the best player in the series, obviously. And Kyrie, let me get hot with the takes. I think Kyrie may be the best. Kyrie is the best complimentary scorer in NBA history.
This chick is definitely mixed, but continue on.
Because Kyrie has the ability to score as well as your best scorer. But because of his skill set with his handle, with his shot, with his ability to score at the rim, post up other guards, pull up in the mid-range, shoot the 3, he is perfect for a guy like Luka who dominates the ball.
Okay.
Because Kyrie doesn't need somebody else to get him off pause. He can go get his whenever he wants to. He doesn't have to be in rhythm. So when you're playing with Luka, you need to be able to play like a role player. So when you get the ball, you cook. But unlike most role players, Kyrie doesn't need the touches to get into the rhythm. And I saw it on Instagram. The players who played in 10 finals games, Kyrie is top 10 in scoring. He's not worried about that big stage. I think Jaylen Brown has the cojones to perform.
Well, that's why he won Eastern Conference MVP, right?
But I don't know if he will actually perform. He ain't gonna be scared. Jaylen Brown will go 5 for 25. Jason Tatum has the talent, but I don't know if he has the cojones. So if we're talking, and I listen to Bill Simmons.
He might text Kobe before the game, though, man. That might give him more motivation.
And I listened to Bill Simmons talk about this, and he talked about how people are saying Kyrie's a better player, a better playoff scorer than Jaylen Brown, and the stats don't say that. But if you watch the games, Kyrie did not have a great series versus OKC.
He didn't. But we were literally talking about this.
But he didn't have to. He let the game come to him. He did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and then he let Luka do his thing, and that was enough. And I think that gets lost in the argument when we talk about stats, right? Because the thing about stats is stats tell a story, but you have to contextualize the stats. And if you watch those games, you go, yeah, Kyrie did have some bad games. It looked kind of weird. But do I, as a person who watches the NBA a lot, think that OKC had a defense that could stop Kyrie Irving? No.
But and we literally talked about this. I literally had told you, I said, I'm texting. Now, granted, I had money on the line, I guess, at the time, but like at the same time, it was like, I was like, man, I was like, he's not fucking playing. And I was like, that's like been the difference in the game. Like, he's not doing it. Then what does he do when he turns it on in the next series? They fucking win in 5. And just like I told you in that series, in the OKC Dallas series, I was like, well, if Kyrie starts to play, I was like, they're going to win these games. And then the next series, what did I tell you? I said, if Cat plays well, I was like, the Timberwolves will win games. Cat pretty much didn't play well the entire series. And the one game that they did win, they did fucking win. And this is what I'm saying. And it wasn't that Kyrie and Luka just played bad. He just played well, and that was the difference in series. So you want to know who my player that's the true difference in this series is?
Karl-Anthony Towns.
No. Well, obviously not. But, like, it's really kind of a two-part thing.
Okay.
It's Horford and Porzingis. To me, they're going to be the key to whether or not the Celtics win the series.
If Porzingis can't go, and
he's ramped up to play in game 1.
I've heard what he said. I got to see it on the court. If Porzingis can't go, and Al Horford has to play 35, 38 minutes,
he won't last with Lively on him.
Fuck Lively. He won't last on that high pick and roll when he gets that switch on Luka, and Luka is like, you a fresh cold.
You're talking defensively. I'm talking offensively for Al Horford. Al Horford's taking 12 threes a game. He's not with a more athletic big. He's going to be up on him.
Shout out to El Chicote. We love you, dog. We appreciate real organic fans
and the viewership. We really do.
Yeah, dog. We fuck with you, rocking with us all show, man. That means so much to us. Like, we don't want to undersell all the people who actually tune in and watch the show, man. Shout out to my boy Najee B while we at it, because he's a real fan, man. He listens to every show. He hits me up with feedback, and dog, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We do a lot of this show for us, like, because we're friends and we love to talk sports. So we could like have these phone conversations, but we might as well record them. But for those of you who enjoy the shit we talk, man, we really appreciate that shit, man. Yeah, we're gonna put the hearts up there, Chicote, man. You our guy. We rock with you.
You can see it on your end. I can't on mine. It is like blocks. But I mean, I believe you and I know it. So,
but anyways, so I'm excited for the finals. Parlay Pete, who do you have?
So,
it's a chip eating ass.
Hey, hunger brother. I like Dallas. I like Dallas in 6. I think that it's weird because initially I kind of was like, well, Boston wins game 1. Dallas wins game 2, because I was like, Miami and Cleveland beat Boston in game 2. Game 2 seemed to be the game. Boston, over their last 2 years in the playoffs at home, are like barely above 500. Like, they're not very good. They haven't been very good. This is the neckbeard Joe Mazzulla era. They're not very good at home. I'm changing my stance. Because it's not that I find it hard to believe that Dallas would win 3 games in a row, but it doesn't make sense that they would. So, but I also don't think that Dallas wins a game 5 in Boston. If the series is tied 2-2.
That's why I got Dallas in 6. Oh, so you're saying Dallas in 7?
No, I like Dallas in 6. I think that Dallas gets game 1.
Okay.
And then Boston gets game 2. And then Dallas wins 2 in a row at home. And then Boston gets game 5. And then they close out home. I don't think Dallas loses at home.
I'm not going to lie to you. As much as of a Jason Tatum fan as I am, because I'm a dude.
I like Tatum too, but like he's like I don't know. I like Tatum though. But go ahead.
Like, no offense to Pride Month, I think that Jason Tatum plays like a bottom. Like, I think he has a submissive game, and he doesn't allow the game to. Like, I don't think he takes over the game.
Brought Pride Month and being a bottom into it with the niggas that plays for the Celtics.
Well, no, for real. Like, let's be real. Jason Tatum allows the game to dictate what he does. He does not dictate games. Now, he gets off, pause, but he does not dictate the game. Jason Tatum takes bad shots to close out games. He doesn't get busy. Right. I'm like, no, nigga, like, get your shit off, nigga. Like, you like that. You don't have to settle for the side step three. You're 6'9". Get to the bucket. Get fouled. You can shoot free throws. Like,
well, more importantly, who's guarding you?
Who cares?
Well, I care. It depends on, because whoever's guarding you will dictate how you want to play the matchup. Are they guarding? If it's one-on-one, who is guarding? Literally, who's guarding? If it's a zone, nigga, run that shady pick, that pick and pop. Like, do whatever it is that you gotta do in order to get open and get into your rhythm. And I get it. The Celtics shoot a lot of threes, which is another reason why I don't like them in this series. They live and die by three. I think even though during the regular season, Boston, I think maybe had the best three. They were maybe the best 3-point shooting team.
Yep.
Dallas has probably been a better 3-point shooting team since those trades. And this is what I'm saying. It's going to be hard for them to just beat Dallas unless Luka Doncic just hurt or just doesn't play well. Like, It's going to take them – they're going to have to play well to win against Dallas. Dallas isn't going to win the game.
And I personally don't like the idea that Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are going to cause problems for Luka. I don't think they will.
Defensively, no. I don't.
It's just not. Hey, how bad did the Hawks fuck up?
Oh, man.
Did you listen to that video I sent you about Jeff Teague talking about, hey, you only get 18 minutes.
43-year-old Vince Carter wanting to get back in the fucking game, or are you saying when Jeff Teague had 14 points at the half in the game?
And they think
he only played 18 minutes, but he started that game with Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll listen to it.
It lets you know about the dysfunction of the Hawks franchise and the ownership just wanting to do things their way and not.
It's like Lloyd Pierce coaching. Was he the coach?
Yeah, because he said Lloyd told him that, hey, dog, you got 18 minutes no matter what. Do your thing. Go to bed. You got 18 minutes, nigga.
I think it was funny when he said Vince Carter was like, man, he's like, why you taking me out the fucking game? And he's like, nigga, you 43. He's like, you in year 22. But that's why Jeff Teague's shit is so good, too. Because he honestly does bring a real perspective, it feels like, of all the NBA player podcasts, because there's a lot of them. Of all of them, doesn't it feel like he just gives the most?
Now, he's the most authentic because, like, the thing about Jeff Teague, what I like about Jeff Teague on the pod is that he is good enough to talk that shit because he was an all-star. He played on good teams. But he was not all NBA. So he's not worried about legacy. It sounds like he invested his money properly, so he's good. So he can actually tell the truth about being in the NBA. And like when he talked about when he won the finals in Milwaukee, he went and just played 2K because he didn't really give a fuck because he had really nothing to do with them winning that championship, even though he won it.
He got a ring.
Yeah, like he got his ring, but he can actually be honest, like, bro, I know what it's like to be the lead point guard on a good team and not get there.
He made an all-star team.
Yeah, but I also know what it's like to be a bum-ass vet on the bench, and it's like, I mean, yeah, I want a ring, but
But gosh, isn't that the best way to go out if you're not going to play anyways?
Yeah. Yeah, nah, I liked it because I just like Jeff Teague's podcast because both Gil and Jeff, they don't care about what players are supposed to say. They say what the fuck they want to say.
But Gil's got such an interesting take on everything in a sense of. So I think I told you this. I obviously grew up a huge Kobe fan. Yeah. So when I think about like my other favorite players, there's like 3 other players behind Kobe. Just growing up that I liked and like who I wanted to play like. Paul Pierce was another one of my very favorite players just because, well, for one, his last name was Pierce, but like at the same, and my number was 34.
Don't read that.
Yeah, I'll get to it. But then 2, I loved Ray Allen. Like always was a huge Ray Allen fan. And then Gilbert Arenas. Bro, his the Adidas Zero commercials. If anyone wants to Google it or get on YouTube, if you're on YouTube with us, stay with us, but just open up another tab and maybe watch it for a couple of seconds. He had the Zero commercials. Man, I used to have composition notebooks where I used to draw up plays. I've always been such a fan of not just basketball,
sports,
but yeah, I've just always been a huge fan of sports, but certainly with basketball because that was a sport that I played for the most part. It inspired me. Like it used to inspire me because his story was so real on why he even chose the number 0, how he became Agent Zero and Hibachi, man. And like I always loved Gilbert Arenas. But it brings me to my point of what I'm about to say about him. Even with his podcast, him and T, they kind of come from 2 different positions. Like they're real. They're both real of all of the people. Because Paul George to me just does it kind of leisurely. Like that's just kind of like leisure as fuck. Like it's just like
Paul George is interview based. Where Gil be talking.
Paul's not criticizing game. No. You're right. He's interviewing motherfuckers. He's not really criticizing or talking topics. He's like asking fucking Brian Shaw about stories in the NBA. Like he's not really. Meanwhile, Gil will talk about. They broke down on Gil's arena. They were like, is Luka Doncic better than LeBron James at 25 or something? Was like one of the topics. And did you watch that or see any of the clips about that?
Yeah, I watched it because I usually watch the show every day.
So I watch a lot of clips, but they'll be the 18-minute ones. Like I will watch I don't watch the whole show, but like I will watch the big ass clips on certain stuff. Same with Shannon's shit, Club Shay shit. Like I watch certain clips of that, and it's one of those things where with Teague and him, they've got their shows to where they do speak the real. I think Teague's is way more authentic. Like he's just super duper authentic. It just feels like he's just really shooting the shit. And if somebody asks him a certain question, it brings a certain story. Well, Gil has these characters too around him that are former, like Brandon James looks like a regular now.
Brandon Jennings, King Martin.
Kermit Kance has been, it feels like he's been one.
Yeah.
And then what's his face is the moderator who I look more at his background. Well, he's big on Twitter, Josiah John. But so here's the thing. So I'm gonna make this really quick about him. For one, his dad played in the NBA. Had no idea. His dad's like almost a borderline fucking Hall of Fame player.
I think he is a Hall of Famer.
This is what I'm saying. Didn't know that. Fun fact. I'm almost certain my ex-girlfriend from Spelman was fucking that nigga's brother. But this is a whole nother story because I just had found this out like when I looked up who he was. And I remember this person. But nonetheless, either way, long story short, it's one of those things where
he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a 5-time All.
He's like on the All NBA 70 team.
He's made he made 3 All NBA teams. Like he got
on like the All 70s team.
That's not on his Wikipedia, but it may be on his Basketball Reference, and I don't feel like looking for it.
Point being, one of the better players in the 70s.
Oh, whoa. I'm sorry. El Chicote. Luka's not better than King. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
I don't think he's not better than LeBron James, but what it is the point is the comparison of on Gil's Arena when they brought it up.
Yep.
Those are the type of things that he'll talk about too. And then, I didn't even realize this too. You realize Gilbert Arenas' son is like
fire,
like that nigga. Yeah, like he's
nice.
Like no, but he's like he's like super nice already.
Yeah,
he's
like last 2025 season.
Yeah, he's gonna be like the top player in his class. Which
he's 6'7",
which makes sense. And what Gilbert's 6'5", 6'4",
6'4", 6'5", yeah.
And so he brought up a story even when the last time I watched that, and he was like, he told him, man, his son wanted to play a game or something. I think we kind of talked about this earlier, but it wasn't involving this. But he literally brought the story up and was like, "You want to play the game?" Or he's like, because motherfucker, you don't realize this, that when this was a part of the Luka LeBron thing. When you get into the league, you're going to be playing against Luka at 30, 29. Basically, him at the top of his game, where he is the best in the league, literally. You sitting up watching the shit for enjoyment, and you want to play a video game and doing all this, and it's just like he's like, I'm telling you, he talked about the buses that the team took to practice or something when they were in a different city. That there was the first bus, there was a second bus, and then Brandon Jennings and Rashard McKenzie was like, man, there's like a third bus now, to where they pick up the team to go to the facility to shoot. They said by the time motherfuckers got on, he said most people get on the second bus. By the time motherfuckers got on that second bus, he said like a guy like a Kobe Bryant, because Swaggy P was on this episode. He was like, Kobe Bryant had already had a full sweat and workout and was doing other shit because he got there before everybody. He had been working out, and he was trying to challenge his son into doing that. He's just like, do you want to just be good and get a paycheck, or do you want to be great, like, or not? Like, because it's like, yeah, talent-wise and your name and how you're here, you're going to make the NBA probably, and you're going to probably do this, but do you want to be great?
Yeah, now that's what I love about Gil, because Gil got to see the highs and lows of the NBA. So he comes at it from a different perspective. But we're going to continue this basketball conversation. But I'm going to break for hour one. All right, we're back to hour two. Let's continue this NBA conversation because we're cooking. We're fucking cooking. And hey, I want you to respond to this, Parlay Pete, because El Chicote had a nut.
Yeah, I see it here on the side. I tell you what, El Chicote, can you give us your reason for why? And once you type it out, we'll get into it. But I mean, this is an obvious no, and this is from somebody that's never seen Michael Jordan. Well, I've seen Michael Jordan play, of course. Like, I've seen him literally live play, but like, he was on the Wizards, so it doesn't really count. But
you went to that last Wizards Hawks game, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So here's the crazy thing about where our life has crossed paths. I was at that game. Well, before we knew each other.
Was at that game as well. He said no love for Stick. We appreciate you. We love
Stick. We appreciate you. I'm not gonna say I appreciate the biggest stick. Like that's pause. Like I can't say that.
Well, it's pride. Are you homophobic?
No, by no means.
Well, that's just the name of his YouTube handle. It's the biggest stick.
Hey,
why has it got a pause moment?
Hey, the biggest stick. We love you here. We love you here. We love the biggest stick here at the ACC podcast. Goddamn it. You gonna fuck with me, nigga? I ain't homophobic.
Well, that's the way you made it sound.
Oh, man. Fuck you.
Point being, I'm not even going to get into too much of that until we hear his response.
Yeah, I got to hear his response.
I mean, he's not better than Jordan. You're wearing a Jordan jersey, aren't you?
Yeah, rookie. With the gold chain. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say gold chain dunking Michael Jordan. Jordan 1.
I'm giving a quote-unquote GOAT his due respect as we're talking about the NBA Finals because this nigga averaged 33 in the finals.
He's the best modern day performer in the NBA Finals, and Luka Doncic is second in points in terms of playoff points per game. Luka's only second, and that is why we originally brought up the LeBron Luka thing at 25. They broke it down, and I'm just going based off what they said because I didn't even do the research, but let's base it off what they said. Now, obviously, Luka came in the league at 19. LeBron came in at 18. So that's one extra year. Year 7 versus year 6. All right, whatever. Apples, orange. LeBron had been to one NBA Finals. He got swept by the Spurs. Untalented Cavs team. Luka has been to 2 Western Conference Finals, now his first NBA Finals. We don't know what the results are yet, so I guess we'll have to wait until we see what happens. But Lucas has more All-NBA teams, first teams at least. He does. He has more All-NBA first teams than LeBron did at 25.
I'm not going to argue with you on that. I know.
Which is fucking nuts. But it is nuts to think about. Like, why does he have 5 All-NBA teams in his first 6 years? That's unbelievable. He won Rookie of the Year, right? Luka won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Trey didn't.
I know Trey didn't, but he won it. Yeah, because you're right. We're right. Those are the Shea's in that class too.
Yeah, but like
he won Rookie of the Year, but like I'm just saying that's another player that's in that same class. Yeah, but what does that have to do with Kyrie being better than Luka? I mean, I'm sorry. What does that have to do with Kyrie being better than Jordan? That's still 3 rings that you got to account for.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kyrie is more skilled than MJ, but in the NBA, it doesn't matter who's the most skilled because Kevin Durant's a more skilled scorer than LeBron, but they average the same amount of points per game. LeBron,
how do we know that? I don't know if Kyrie is even more skilled than Michael Jordan.
I do. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody's more skilled than Kyrie to ever play in the NBA. But that doesn't mean it's more productive.
I disagree. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna say.
I think LeBron might have just said that. I'm not saying you're piggybacking off of LeBron, but
I'm not here. No.
I think that he did literally say that with the JJ Redick thing. He was like, which I know we're about to get to that too, but like, I think
I had that on my list.
I think Kyrie's the most skilled player to ever play in the NBA. I don't think he's the most skilled. He's a hell of a dribbler. He's poetry in motion too, just like Jordan. Like Jordan, just like they have these Kyrie posts of him playing, and it's like fucking Maxwell woman's work, and it's like him in slow motion and black and white, like making moves, and like it's poetry in motion. Jordan's got the same type of catalog. I mean,
I don't look as good as Kyrie.
I'm not a Jordan fucking. I don't think Jordan's the best player ever that I've seen, but I also know that.
Hold on. I got 2 comments for you. How I got another for you?
Yeah.
Biggest.
You could argue that Magic is more skilled, especially in his era. But in his era, if you look at Magic Johnson's footwork and shit too, Magic Johnson was well ahead of his time. Like Kyrie's not well ahead of his time. He's just super skilled amongst a bunch of skilled motherfuckers. Magic Johnson was doing highlight from what I've seen, his highlights. And even statistically, when you look at as a rookie in a game 7, game 6, whatever it was, that first championship the Lakers won his rookie year, Kareem was out. They won the NBA Finals. He had like a 40-point triple-double. Magic was showed. I mean, he created literally flair in the NBA. That's why Jordan was like, that's the old dog right there. And then he's like, where are your shoes at? He's like, we can lace them up right now. Because Magic in a weird way. I know that many consider Magic the greatest point guard of all time. And I know that's why when the Steph Curry thing gets brought up, he's even like, no. Like, he's like, you might think that he's the best shooter, but he's not the best point guard. Magic is in his own lane too. There's just certain people that are in their own lane. Kyrie is a great player. He was, and I'm not saying that he should have. I would have taken Kyrie over Dame in the NBA 75 personally, but just like I was right over AD.
The publicity around Kyrie at that time was not great for him.
I'm sure he'll be on the All NBA 100, but at the same time,
and if he's not, throw the list away.
But at the same time, we have to be real about it too. Kyrie's a huge part of why Cleveland won that title that year. He's the one that took that shot at Steph. He put it in Steph Curry's face, nigga. Like, he put it in his face.
Come here, nigga.
And look, and just like how Kobe wasn't getting his respect in some of those NBA finals with Shaq, Kyrie was averaging like 28. Like, Kyrie was putting it on, nigga. Yeah, LeBron was doing LeBron. Like, I get it, but like, Kyrie was doing it too.
I wasn't even about to cape for LeBron right now.
No, but I'm just saying, in a sense of how Kobe gets disrespected in the now. Granted, that's a dynasty versus one championship, but the same way Kobe gets. I don't think that Kyrie gets enough credit for the 3-1 comeback too.
Kobe does not get disrespected. He gets properly contextualized.
No, he doesn't. I literally sent you the fucking Anthony Edwards thing, and they were like, what was it? It was through X amount of games under the age of this in the playoffs, and Kobe was first on the list. LeBron was second, or Ant was second, and then LeBron was third in terms of guys averaging 30. And it was Kobe in 2001. So it wasn't the Indiana championship, but that Sixers one, when they beat the Sixers, Kobe was averaging 30 in the play. I don't understand. Like, he was averaging like 31, 32. And then you told me, you said, what was Shaq averaging? Now I looked at it, I was like, okay, Shaq averaged one more point. Yeah. And Shaq had like 15 rebounds and like 4 blocks. Yeah. But Kobe was like 30. It was like 30. Kobe was like 32, 7, and 6. And it's just like, oh yeah, but Shaq was carrying. Like, that it's ridiculous to say that Shaq carried Kobe in those titles. Just like it would be ridiculous to say that LeBron carried Kyrie.
I wouldn't say that because I watched this game.
Kyrie Hill. We watched the game. This is what I'm saying. Kyrie did his thing too.
I mean, they both had the 41-41. I remember being at Dave & Buster's watching that game in San Diego.
That was game 1, wasn't it?
Nah, it wasn't game 1. That was like game 5.
It was the must win.
Yeah. I remember watching that shit, and them niggas went crazy. Like, I almost wanted LeBron.
I'm thinking about game 1, the first series.
In 2015 when they went to overtime?
They won that because the Cavs won game 1, but Kyrie was basically got hurt and missed like game 2 and didn't play the rest, or he played in game 2 and then didn't play the rest of the series.
Yeah, nigga, I remember because, this is LeBron fan numero uno over here now.
Kyrie averaged 25 a game the year that they won the title.
Kyrie didn't get carried, and I want Kyrie to win this for his legacy, for the haters in the NBA sports media, all of that. And you know what, El Chicote, I agree with you. I agree that Ant deserved to be in the finals, but the problem is his second best teammate was Karl Anthony Towns, and his third best teammate was Rudolph Gobert, and they don't deserve to be in nobody's finals. That's the problem. Like I already said, Rudy. Like I did this pod by myself, Parlay Pete, and tell me how you feel about this take. After what Dallas did to the Timberwolves, don't you think Rudy needs to hop in his car and drive to San Antonio, or this offseason, once he goes to France, he needs to fly his ass over there and then hop on the train and take that DPOY trophy to Victor Wembanyama? Like, he needs to hand deliver it, and they didn't do a ceremony. Because I don't give a fuck what you do well. If you do what Rudolph Gobert did in the Western Conference Finals, you're not DPOY. When you're DPOY, the matchup doesn't matter because you dictate what the offense does. The offense can't play you off the fucking court if you're DPOY. If you're asking me,
I think that what he's going to do is the next time they see each other, he's going to say, give me the keys. Because
That
at
guy
this
gonna
point,
say, give me the keys. He gonna say, Rudolph, you drunk. Give me them shits, nigga.
no, he's not even gonna say you're drunk. He's gonna say, nigga, I am DDS. Your license is revoked. You will never drive again. Because I'm gonna win every defensive player of the year in this league over you specifically. If it's gonna be about the centers winning it, like niggas that are tall, you will never win another one. And that is what's gonna happen because the Spurs record is gonna be better, and more people are gonna view that series. And the fact that even in the Denver series that his child was born and they won a game and defensively they locked it down. Jaden McDaniels might have won more respect from the NBA than anyone from that series as a defender because I think he might have made the third team or did he?
It may take a team out defense, yeah.
So he's going to get way more respect as a defender in general. But the thing is, they're a good defensive team. Like, they're just a good defensive team. He's going to get –
Go ahead.
There's going to be so much more respect passed around because of how good defensively he is that, for one, Rudy just won't win one unless he just has an unbelievable, like a 5-block type season.
Yeah,
Mark Eaton is the only person in NBA history to average 5 blocks a game. And I couldn't even believe it because every time I looked up, Mark Eaton was getting dunked on in highlights that I've always seen. But there was a year where, I mean, look, he's a 3-time defensive player of the year himself or something. One of the best defenders ever, too. Most people don't even talk about Mark Eaton, but I know who Mark Eaton is just because of, like, some bullshit, literally.
I mean, you're a sports fan, man. You get it.
But Wemby will never not win Defensive Player of the Year.
No, but here's what I think, though, because we haven't really talked about this together. I think that the media members don't really watch basketball because if you say the guard play is the best that it's ever been, how can you not acknowledge the good guards who play defense? And I understand they're not going to have the blocks, but the thing about good defense, a lot of great defense is not captured in stats. Like when you play basketball, you were a shooter, right?
Yeah. Shooter, leak out guy.
Yeah. So like, I don't care about your leak out shit because defense doesn't really affect that much. Because if you're leaking out, nigga.
I'm playing out of the key. So,
but hold on. Before you go, like if you're leaking out, that means, oh shit, shot up, I'm out. Nigga grabs a rebound, outlet, we out. But when we're talking about shooting, think about when somebody who actually think about somebody who has clamps and bro, you shoot 3 or 4 less threes because oh shit, he's here. There's no statistic for that because he didn't get a steal. He didn't contest a shot. He stopped the shot. And as a person who used to be somebody who used to be a defensive stopper, if I make you take 5 more shots to get your 20, I've done my job. And there's not a statistic for that.
Have you guys, I don't know what type of defense you guys played in high school. So it depended on who we were playing. But yeah, we did your 2 threes. Of course, man to man, but like, so one of our special defense.
Hey, Parlay Pete, I was the guy if we were playing against a good guard and we ran a box and one. If we ran a box and one, I was the one.
Okay, so we didn't run a box and one. We had, but like we didn't. That wasn't our. So this is what I was about to bring up. Our primary defense, funny enough, was a defensive triangle. We ran a triangle defense.
Okay.
So
I was 1-3-1-ish.
Man to man for me and the other guard, and then there was a triangle.
Okay.
But I was one of the defenders. And it wasn't necessarily what it is. I was fast and I'm long. Like I was kind of I'm longer. Like I was bigger than our point guard, technically. Like I was taller than him and I was longer than him. And so like certainly, and I like to like put my hands out. but you weren't just gonna beat me off the dribble. And if you were, we had 2'6". Latana is 6'8", and then we had a 6'10" player. Like, so even if you beat me, you're gonna have a hell of a time fucking making a goddamn layup. But I'm long enough too to where I'll get a hand on the ball. Like I'm gonna.
I played the top. I played the top.
I'm quick enough to catch up.
See, for me, I played the top of the 1-3-1 and the 1-2-2. Like I'm at the top, and the way I played it is more than likely.
You're always running. Well, of course, I'm thinking about your height. I'm like, all right, you were always running guard too.
Yeah, but I've been dunking since I was ish. Yeah, 2 or 3. I've been dunking since I was 5'9". And like
So
I was
athleticism.
Yeah, I was 5'9" dunking with ease. I wasn't like rim grazing. I've never rim grazed a dunk in my life. Like I went from laying it up above the rim to yanking that bitch like super hard, right? So pause. And I'm the nigga who I'm the top of the 1-3-1 to 1-2-2. I'm guarding the point guard full court.
Okay.
Like even if it's a half court zone, I'm guarding you full court, nigga. Nah.
All right. As soon as you get the ball, I'm gonna do my defensive slide and then tell you.
Yeah. Like that's who I used to be back in the day. So like when you like now that I talk about Rudy Gobert being defensive player of the year, I think about like real defense. And I know real defense can't be captured by stats because there's no stat for discomfort.
Well, he's an anchor. It's just like in football, a safety that is dominant. Like nothing ever gets past third, right? Like
yeah,
like that is why I'm not saying like Troy Polamalu did a ton, and so did Ed Reed. But I'm looking at safeties that won Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. They're the anchor of the defense. Like safeties are anchors of defenses. That's why for us, Jesse Bates is our best defensive player. Not because he had all the picks this year, but
he created those.
But he's the quarterback of the defense.
Yeah, like a lot of those picks.
The point guard is the quarterback of the offense in basketball. The center typically is the point guard of the defense because they're like the paint is my house. Like the higher percentage shot is my house.
And the thing about Jesse Bates is there's not a statistic for how many throws he stopped.
Right, because he was there. He played it right. Because he could see everything. He can see the whole field.
Yes. And that's why I think guards get slighted in DPOY, because there's shit that if you don't watch the game, but also if you're not in tune with what the offense wants to do, you can't really comment on it because it's not obvious.
But there's only certain guys that can prove why they won the award. What was it? The players a couple years ago when they talked about best defenders, they said Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday would never win DPOY. He could have, and I say that because Marcus Smart won it. But you know this, and I know this. When you watch the game, like when Halliburton was crossing over and missing the ball, like the defense that statistically, just because it's not didn't touch it. Like Drew Holiday didn't touch the ball when he crossed over, but Halliburton lost the ball because Drew was there. And that's the thing about guard defense that gets missed, like the discomfort that you create, and that's real defense. Like I don't give like I'm with you on that. I just think that when it comes to DPOY, I'm not saying that he didn't get cheated maybe a year for winning it, but the thing is, the bigs get to prove it in the postseason, and that's something that Rudy hasn't done, because that is why Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame. You know why? Not because he's got 4 or 2, or he's got 3. Is it 3 or 4? You want to know what it is? He proved the shit. The 1 year that Detroit won, who did he have to guard?
Shaq.
What was the series? 4-1? Like he got to fucking prove it. And look, it's a regular season award. I understand that. But it put into why he won it in the regular season too. Because Shaq fucking look, I'm sure if we look up Shaq's stats in that NBA Finals, I bet Shaq still had 25 and 12. I bet. I would bet. Let me see. I'm gonna type it in. NBA Finals 2004.
I'm looking it up right now.
StatMuse says 26 and 11. So, and actually, if we round up, it's really 27 and 11. But it doesn't matter. It was an ineffective fucking 27 and 11, clearly. And I know that Kobe. Let's just go to Kobe. That way, I know what the second best player did too.
Here's the thing. Never mind.
Kobe averaged 23. Kobe actually did not have a good series.
No, Rip had him fucked up. Rip and Tayshaun had him fucked up.
That and then probably the rape allegations that he had to deal with all year.
Maybe.
And I bet Carl and Gary didn't really chip in as much as they were paid.
Carl got hurt. Carl was hurt.
Yeah, that's a great excuse.
You can't rely on a nigga named Carl. Ask Ant-Man.
Or maybe Carl was in his 19th year and it was just over with for him. Like he had ran his race already. It's not about Kobe, but point being, Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame because of it, and Rudy's going to get in too because he's got the fucking hardware to show it. Just like Dwight Howard's a Hall of Famer, and we know because we've seen Dwight that Dwight's a menace. He was the best center in the NBA for his entire era, his entire prime. He was the best center, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a post game. It didn't matter.
Man, them niggas beat the Celtics with Kevin Garnett still being pretty fucking good offensively. People forget that they played the Celtics too. They didn't just beat LeBron. They beat the Celtics that year. The year that they went, Dwight Howard probably had to have been top 3 in MVP votes. Like, Dwight Howard was he doesn't get the respect. If there's a player that doesn't get their respect as a player on both sides of the court, it's Dwight Howard. Because Dwight Howard didn't have moves offensively, but gosh, it was fucking dominant too. He wasn't Shaq dominant, of course, but like, I literally watched Dwight Howard down the street put a 40-20 game on the Hawks in the playoffs. I saw it.
I was at that game too. I remember.
Like, I fucking saw it.
Dwight Howard should be on the NBA roster right now. The Lakers could have used him against Jokic.
He'd be great for Dallas.
Oh, God.
Because he could catch lobs too. I mean, Gafford and Lively are great, like, for what they're doing. But, God, I mean, he'd be great. Hell, Boston could use a motherfucker like him. Crazy enough. I mean, I know they've got their 2-center rotation, but, like, they could use Dwight Howard.
Any contender could use Dwight Howard, but, you know, he had them allegations that really fucked it all up for him.
Yeah, but it's Pride Month. I don't understand what that has to do with basketball. I bet the WNBA is super serious about Pride Month. Jalen Brunson just tweeted out eyes.
He getting DeJounte Murray or some shit?
I highly doubt it. How would you feel if DeJounte Murray got traded for
Julius Randle?
Yeah, what would that look like?
Terrible.
I think I could see how it would work if Julius was a 20-10 guy still, but like he's a dude that's kind of often injured himself. It's not a good deal. You know what the Hawks need to do? Since we're still on the NBA.
Okay.
It will be a great game tomorrow, El Chicote, for sure. I'm pumped about it. But And actually, I guess we can kind of transition a little bit into the Trae Young tweet too, where he said what he said, and I said, well, I wonder what that means to you yesterday.
Yeah. What Trae
Because
Young
the
tweet?
Hawks, it was I gotta go to our text message thread. It was expect the unexpected nowadays. And Atlanta radio, they ran with it. Because you want to know what it is? We're in such a dead period of sports, and it's going to get so much worse once the finals is over. Because it's going to be nothing but WNBA and baseball. And we know that baseball just doesn't heat up until September, October.
I mean, they're on Tubi.
Yeah, and the thing is with baseball, certainly locally, with Ronald Acuna going down, like
hurts.
Yeah, like it just I don't know. And he's one of the best players, right, in baseball, period. It's just gonna shut a lot of that down. But Trae Young tweeting something out like that, it essentially goes into this. Well, what is that? What does this cryptic ass tweet mean? And we know that the Hawks are in a position where it's about to be a big off season. There's no way that they keep the team the same. Somebody is getting something is happening.
Got to.
But the question would be, is Trae Young the person that gets traded? And if so, what are you getting for him? He holds the most value. DeJounte Murray does not hold as much value as him. I think, honestly, if you were to get – I don't think that you put DeJounte Murray with Jalen Brunson because they have DiVincenzo and I don't think that would be the move specifically just based on that. I think Trae is going to be the person. I do that. If I tell you, let's go ahead and just make that prediction. I think that Trae Young is going to get traded. I think that they're going to move on from him because they realize that the team flows better with him and he just has the most value.
I can't argue with you there, man. I think so too. I think if the front office is worth a fuck, they'll trade Trae.
But can we do something and not just trade him to the Lakers and get, everybody's like, well, we got Austin Reeves, we got Jarrett Vanderbilt, and we got Rui Hachimura. Like, I just don't think that's enough for me. It's not enough.
It's not enough for me unless you're trying to tank again for this next draft class and try to.
No, you probably could be good enough. You want to know? Honestly, there are two players that I think of when I'm like, God, if they just make this type of trade, I would still be okay with it. Honestly, make the trade with Brooklyn and get Mikal Bridges. I would like Mikal. I think Mikal Bridges on our team, they're better than what they are with Trae and DeJounte.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
DeJounte and Mikal Bridges.
Not because Mikal Bridges is more talented than Trae Young either. It's because it just fits so much better, and you get a piece who kind of already has been paid, and you probably can go out and get something else. And then if you draft whoever, because now I don't even think Alex Sarr is the guy on their radar either. It's like,
yeah, I don't fucking know either. But I think the Hawks, they got a lot of decisions to make this offseason. And I want you to continue talking about that while I go drain the main vein.
You go ahead and drain it. There's so many different directions that the Hawks could go in. And I don't think that anyone realizes just how important of an offseason this actually is for the Hawks. It's pretty fucking important. And so I don't foresee the Hawks making any type of game-changing moves that would change anything about what it is that they're going to be about in terms of the postseason, at least, for the next few years. But at the end of the day, the Hawks are still in this position where they've got to make a move because they can't continue to do what they've been doing. And what they've been doing is losing. They've been losing. And it's unbelievable to see how a city will continue to support and be a part of something that is losing. Quite frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of sitting here and being subjected to it just as I guess you could say I'm a Hawks fan, but I mean, for the most part, I'm a fan of anything Atlanta. I'm born and raised, I'm from here, but I've always wanted the Hawks to be good, and they just haven't. And they have to make that decision. They've got to move on or get if you ain't shitting, get off the pot. Pretty much, it's kind of the way that I look at it, just from the perspective of them. And so, it's tough. It's a tough watch. It really is. It's a tough watch for anyone that has to be subjected to it and has to deal with it. But, we'll see what they end up doing. I think that getting rid of Trae Young will be, for the most part, a good move. It would be a good move because you've seen what you can kind of do in 6 years of building around him. He's got as much value maybe today as he will going forward because everybody's going to consider him as trade bait to begin with. I'd move on from Trae. You just paid DeJounte. Keep him. His number's lower. And find something else to build upon and create a team that will be sustainable, that you can look at the NBA today and say, this is the way that a team should be built, because you can't just keep firing coaches. You can't just keep going in this direction that they've done for all these years. You look at OKC, we see how they've got to rebuild their team. You look at even a team like Minnesota, how they kind of constructed their team. The Hawks have got to be able to not strike out in this pivotal moment. Worst draft that you could possibly have the number one in. They've got to fucking win this draft. They've got to win this offseason.
They got to draft Alex Carr, man, and fucking make a big move. And I think that's what they'll do. But do you want to transition to the W?
Let's go to the W. I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting to sink my teeth into it.
So the WNBA has been getting a lot more publicity recently because Caitlin Clark has garnered a lot of attention. And along with Caitlin Clark, you also have Angel Reese, who are bringing in their Bird and Magic rivalry into the WNBA. And let's be honest, do I think that the Caitlin Clark effect has been overstated? Probably. But I also, people want to understate the Caitlin Clark effect on the league, and it's just totally inaccurate. Like, dog, niggas want to watch. But then Caitlin Clark, she takes a crazy foul by Kennedy, whatever her last name is, from the Chicago Scouting game on Saturday. It's a national TV game. People watch it, people see it, and there's a lot of responses to it. And pretty much what the WNBA fans, all 5 of them, have said is that, hey, this has been a physical game forever. I don't know why y'all are just noticing this. And it's like, hey, dog, we don't watch the WNBA. And then they say, hey, you should have been talking about the WNBA all this time, and now people are finally talking about it, and they're not happy with the coverage of it. And it's like, well, you haven't really given a fuck about your sport. So now we give a fuck. So we're going to point out what we see, and we're going to comment on it. And we're not going to properly contextualize it because we don't watch it.
And more importantly, hey, you shut up. We don't want to hear about you. You are not what brought us here. If the white bitch doesn't have a good game, according to
Pat McAfee,
if the white bitch doesn't have a good game, that's okay. There's plenty of God damn it. There's plenty of people that don't have good games.
Yeah, and what I want to say about all of that stuff is, she
still is playing like she's on pace to still win Rookie of the Year. She's still averaging like 17, 5, and 5. So it's like, oh, she had a 3-point game against one of the best teams in the WNBA. Wow. I mean, wow, I am shocked. I'm shocked that they got to her.
And, they talk about there have been countless great players who've come before her who have laid this foundation for her. Maybe. Or maybe they laid the foundation for a subsidized league. I mean, if you're going to sit here and tell me that you've been living on Section 8 your whole life and all of a sudden you deserve a penthouse, I'm going to go, no, your kid who came up in that situation and figured out how to get out of subsidized housing and get the penthouse deserves the penthouse. But everybody else before that kid doesn't deserve it. It's like, let Caitlyn and the Angel be great. Let Caitlyn be great. Because the motherfucker's good. And she attracts eyeballs. And I was watching the Las Vegas Aces play against the Dallas, whoever the fuck they are, Dallas Wings. And the Aces were 4-3 going into this game. Now they're 5-3. Indiana's played 11 games already.
While we're talking, I'm sorry. I don't know if you have the ESPN app, right? Did you get this update?
What you got?
It's literally about what we're talking about. Thank God for security is the headline. Individual confronts Chicago Sky and Kennedy Carter at team hotel. GM Jeff Pagliosa tells Chicago Suns.
Oh, yeah, because guess what? Caitlin Clark has fans, like real fans, people who ride for her, fanatics.
Well, and clearly, if her team isn't going to fucking ride for her, that shit was a cheap shot. I don't give. Me and Justice were at the gym and watched it live, and I was like, "Yo, they're trying to fucking beat this bitch up." Like, it's basically what I said.
Yeah, no, it was dirty play. But here's the thing: do I think that men aren't used to women with dirty play? Absolutely. So men who don't watch the WNBA overreact to it, sure. But guess what, WNBA? You're getting talked about. You're getting a real segment on First Take that goes viral that brings attention to your league. You got Colin Cowherd opening talking about the WNBA, and that's something new as a Cowherd fan of a damn near 10 years. That shit is new. Because guess what? Nobody talked about your game. And y'all get so upset, like, oh, if you wasn't watching us now, don't talk. If you wasn't watching us then, don't talk about us now. No, you're interesting. We care. We finally give a fuck about your league. And instead of saying, hey, NBA, can you foot our bills? Hey, LeBron, all that attention that you draw, can you just give some of that money to us? No, you're earning your own money. So I'm not saying that the criticism is fair. I'm not even saying that it's accurate. But be happy that you're getting attention. You're getting ad dollars. You're getting eyes. You're getting put on NBA TV. You're getting put on ESPN. You're not playing at 12 o'clock on a fucking Tuesday in the middle of the summer when everybody's at work not watching your fucking games. I'm sorry, bro. It's like...
No, you're telling the truth.
Yeah, like I saw the post where Andre Iguodala shouted out this one player, and it was like, if you don't know my name.
Oh, that shit got revisited on Twitter.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't know my name, don't comment on me. But then when somebody else shouted out a player like in the NFL, NBA, and said, hey, nigga fight, it was like, oh, yeah, thanks, all love. It's like, bro, y'all want attention, then you finally get attention, and then now you want to flip it and say, you're not talking about me right. Be happy that somebody's talking about you. Because, the NBA was on tape delay at one point. They didn't get the primetime spots because they didn't have the eyes. But then they got it. So maybe you're in the stages of finally getting there. Getting to that point to where people give a fuck about you and your craft, and it's no longer subsidized. You actually fucking turn a profit. If we didn't have Title IX, if we didn't have gender equity in this country, the WNBA would not fucking exist.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't be a thing.
The NBA was what last year's giving y'all $9 million a year to stay afloat. That doesn't happen for your average everyday company. If you don't turn a fucking profit, you fucking fold. But y'all have been allowed to sustain, and you're flying private now. Oh, I saw complaints about the private flights not being the best of the best, but it's like, hey man, turn a profit, make money, earn what you want. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar flew commercial so LeBron James could fly private.
Exactly.
Bro, you just gonna get me
It's
fired up.
it's one of those things where when you look at the WNBA, you
The
finally have publicity. Yeah, the W. You finally have this publicity, and all you do is bitch and complain about it. No pun intended about the bitch part, but like all you do is bitch. You bitch about it. You bitch about not
being respected.
having the right players covered, essentially. Charter flights, all this other stuff. There's so much complaining, but there's so much more attention being brought to it. It's just like you're bringing so much attention to it to where nobody's going to give it any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so draining to look up and see that people are actually complaining about a league that finally people might want to be interested in. And then they're like, gosh, now I know why we weren't fucking interested in it. Because once they even got any type of interest, it was going to turn into one of these things. Even without Caitlin Clark, it doesn't matter who it was. Caitlin Clark just so happened to be the chosen player because of her decorated college career. It could have been any of them, to be completely honest with you. And I feel like if everybody was going to hate on her the way that they did and this happened, it still would turn into this thing where nobody cared. Because it's like, my goodness. It'd be like if the whole entire NBA, when LeBron came out, like his Cavs teammates were talking about, but nobody cared about the Cavs. So it's like, yeah, everybody took note of like Darius Miles and fucking I don't even know if Boozer was on the team. Like
Boozer and Callie, what's his name?
Drew,
Ricky
no,
Davis.
Drew didn't know.
Ricky
Like,
Davis.
like what I'm just saying, they said like, oh, it's just a rookie to me, like that type of ass comment. But like nobody cared because it was the Cleveland Cavaliers. So like nobody cared what they were saying about their teammate. But Kobe wasn't coming out and being like, I can't wait to chew that nigga up. Like Kobe didn't say that. But that's what Diana Taurasi was saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like,
hey.
Nobody was saying that about LeBron. They embraced LeBron just like anyone else. You made it to our league. Now prove that you deserve to be here. It wasn't I don't see what's so special about her. All she do is shoot threes. It's just like, bitch, there was nothing special about you. That's why we're even putting the mic in front of your face, because she can shoot threes. That is why we want to talk to you. What do you think about her shooting threes? That's why we're asking the question. You dumb, like,
bro.
You didn't even play in the WNBA last year, but she's bringing this to you. Get over it. I tell you what. Why don't you just go and outplay her? Why don't you put up the big stats? Dog her every time you play her. Like, dog her statistically. Dog her on the floor. What is all this other shit about?
And that's the hard part. And I think there's a racial component to it. And I also think there is a male-female component to it, because it's like the man in the relationship where the woman complains about, you don't give me enough attention, you don't do this and that. And then you start to give her the attention. You start to do the things that she's asking for. And she goes, well, you're only doing it because I asked you to, not because you want to.
Right.
Well, what the fuck do you want, dog? You told me that what I'm doing isn't working for you. So I've shifted what I do to make you happy. And now that doesn't make you happy because you're worried about the intentions and not the actions. Here's the thing. I'm trying to satisfy you. And if I'm satisfying you out of the kindness of my heart, or I'm satisfying you because you told me what I do out of the kindness of my heart is not working, so you want this, so I pivot to that. It's like you're never going to be happy. And if WNBA fans act like this, y'all are going to turn into American soccer. Niggas just ain't going to care. We're trying to care and you won't let us care because you don't like the way that we're caring or the why that we're caring. Stop being pretentious. Let us in. And for those of you like Monica McNutt She had the audacity to tell Stephen A. Smith, you could have been highlighting the WNBA on your platform 3 years ago. He's number one for a reason. It's not because he's talking about shit that people don't care about.
Well, I'd love to see Wayne Gretzky get on First Take and be like, "Hey, why don't you guys talk about hockey?"
Or A-Rod.
Don't they get about the same amount of coverage in reality?
Or A-Rod say, "Hey, talk more baseball."
I've never seen Stephen A. talk. They don't talk it. So what are you calling him out for? How about this? Why don't Monica McNutt? Why don't you call out your employer and say, "Hey, why don't you have more prominent people covering it?" Because they could easily get a WNBA countdown, especially once the NBA season's over.
Yeah.
And it's not just a Goot McKay and fucking whoever. Why not get Wilbon to do that? Why not get Stephen A. to do that? Why can't they do that? Oh, because they're on vacation too. Yeah, blame your network. Blame the people that barely fucking air the games. Like, talk to them. Or why don't we get now? I get it. Kobe was a big proponent of. I'm not trying to bring Kobe up, but I'm just saying, like, why don't you get a former player to fucking be the liaison of the shit? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why we're gonna blame them for. He doesn't write the show script. Stephen A. does. He might have some creative control, but he doesn't write the script.
He's the EP.
Ain't enough time for them to give 30 minutes to the WNBA, bro.
Hey, how about this?
Hey,
Parlay Pete, how about you blame women for not coming to the games and supporting like men do for their sports?
No, because they could even do that. I'm just saying ESPN's not going to give it time because they don't give time to baseball and fucking hockey. Like, yeah, that's why I just brought that up. Like, they don't give time to that. So why are they going to give time to this? Like,
when we grew up, there was
a second basketball league is not going to get as much time as two of the four major sports in the United States.
Think about
somebody in MLS could come up and be like, "Man, what the fuck aren't y'all talking about? Y'all only talk about when Messi gets a goal. Why don't you talk about the best team in MLS scoring and winning?" Like,
why ain't the Atlanta United getting a block? Because nobody
exactly. It's because Monica. This is why the NBA. Did you see the NBA's deal, by the way?
Oh yeah, they made money.
They cleared 11 years, like $78 billion. So that's like almost $7 billion a year. Amazon, NBC, ESPN. And guess what? That means when Wemby signs his contract, he's going to be the first $500 million max signing. Like, he's going to sign a 5-year, $500 million deal when it's time for him to sign his deal. He's going to sign the richest contract in the NBA. We care more about that. That's why the networks are fucking feeding the money to them, because we care about them. We don't care about the WNBA. We barely care about fucking baseball. But let's get mad at the white bitch that fucking attracted more viewers for a college basketball Elite 8 game this year. I'm not even going to go to the national championship with LSU the year before. She garnered more attention in an Elite 8 college basketball game than almost every NBA game.
Hey,
that was heard on the network. Like,
hey, Pete, listen to this.
Talk about her.
Well, listen to this. Her draft, where we knew she was going number 1, 2.1 million.
Outdid NBA, good NBA regular season games.
Hey, but listen to this. She did 2.1 million for her draft and her first game. The WNBA finals did 700,000. So she did 3 times your biggest game.
And she was only going to appear on the screen in terms of herself within the first 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah. And we knew she was going to be there. Like,
it's hate, bro. That shit's hate.
Bro,
but like, that's literally hate.
It's all hate. And don't get me wrong. I'm all about roughing up the rookies. Welcome to the league.
Nobody's roughed up Angel Reese.
Yeah, no, she got roughed up too.
Did somebody rough up Cam Brink?
No, I ain't seen it.
I've seen her fits more than anything I've seen about her. I ain't even seen her fucking highlights. I seen her fits.
Yeah.
Nigga, them showing her walking in wearing a tennis skirt. That's what I've seen.
I'm not mad at it either.
Me neither. Looks good. I'm glad they're covering.
But it's like, dog, you got to get over yourself. It's like the chick who says, I know my worth, but you got 3 kids from 3 baby daddies, and you asking for your next man to be a 6-figure nigga, and it's like,
nah, man. And then there's literally 3 other niggas within a city limit of each other that got a dick sucking video of you on their phone. Let's keep it 100 with ourselves, is basically what I'm saying. There's a nigga that I could run into that has a video of your face on his penis and is in his phone knowingly, and you look up. You're looking up. It wasn't one of these, oh, he recorded me and I didn't know. No. You looked up and then you kept going. You went harder. That's what's going on in the WNBA.
And here's the thing, Parlay Pete. We've been covering the WNBA for what, like the last year and a half or so?
I've enjoyed it because it was something additional to bet on at the time.
Yeah, like we've actually
had to learn more.
So like I bring this up to say we're not telling y'all to shut the fuck up. We're telling y'all to
keep it real.
We're telling y'all to speak smarter. And
keep it real. And
we are people who watch your league, discuss your league privately, and discuss it on our platform. We're not just we're like, how many times have we opened the show because of pre-production talking about the WNBA, and it's like, hey, let's talk about a better topic to open the show. That's happened here multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's not to demean women. It's not to say your league doesn't matter. It's just to say I don't like Dansby Swanson in Chicago Cubs uniform. Sorry. But no, seriously, it's to say that sometimes you got to be happy that you get the opportunity. It's like some of these race warriors who go, we need more black people in executive leadership. Yeah, okay. How many black people are actually qualified for those executive leadership positions? Now, don't talk to me about, why black people don't have the opportunities to be in these positions. We're not having that conversation right now. We're talking about the fact that there are this many candidates. How many of those candidates who are qualified for the job are black? One of 8. Oh, it's 1 of 8. It's a good chance them niggas ain't get it. That's what, 17%? Exactly. Yeah, nah, nigga, you better be the best one by a long shot because the numbers are against you. And if we look at TV ratings, the numbers are against the WNBA. Y'all have not given ESPN, y'all have not given ABC, y'all have not given NBA Network, you haven't given TNT a reason to highlight you. And if you say, hey, we don't get enough marketing, well, there's the reason why you don't get enough marketing. There's a reason why Kanye can lose money on the tour and everybody still signs up for it.
Exactly.
But like, we're not letting Yeet lose money on the tour.
Well, because why would Yeet lose money on the tour?
Like, Yeet, if you ain't selling the tickets, nigga, we're not, no. And that's the whole thing about the WNBA. This ain't WNBA hate. We like the WNBA over here. We support the WNBA.
Exactly.
I've been watching this is my 3rd season watching the WNBA. But if the WNBA wants the A block of First Take, who's been number 1 for like 10, 15 years, you got to give First Take a reason to talk about you. Because Stephen A got bosses. You know what I'm saying, Monica McNutt? The reason why you get to come on First Take, and I think Stephen A did a terrible job in his response. I do. But the reason you get to come on this show and talk is because Stephen A has proven to his bosses that he has viewership. And so now he can introduce new talent. And I think that's what got missed in him saying, hey, I brought these people out. I gave them notoriety. Yeah, Stephen A, you were pretty condescending in the way that you said it. But what you're pretty much saying is I've proven to the people who wouldn't give you a chance that you can have a chance on my show.
Exactly.
You can build a fan base with my show. You can build credibility on my show because guess what? I know how to make this show work. So even if you ain't good, we still gonna be good. Hey, Parlay Pete, I don't even want to talk culture. I feel like we should close off here.
We can.
Unless you want to talk about the fucked up water in Atlanta, and you can give us some insight on that.
Oh, man. Well, I tell you, I have to honestly touch on this, even if it's just a little. See, the biggest stick said they don't really talk about NHL super rare, but that's the point. The point is that they don't talk about it.
Because nobody gives a fuck about it. So they don't talk
but think about it. They don't talk about baseball either. I mean,
baseball tonight. Hey, Parlay Pete, baseball tonight, NHL tonight. Those were shows that we had to watch before 11 o'clock Sports Center when we were growing up.
Yeah.
They don't come on TV no more.
Well, if ESPN doesn't have a baseball game, like you said, like baseball tonight or NHL tonight, if NHL doesn't have a game on, like, look, I've got ESPN on now, said third time's the charm for Florida. It is 11:47. Sports Center started at 11. They're just now getting to now granted, the Stanley Cup doesn't start until Saturday, but they're about 50 minutes into the show before they even talk about it. I mean, It's the championship. It's literally the championship of that league. And so it's pretty sad. I mean, it's pretty sad. I don't know what else to say from that perspective. It's sad.
I look at it like this. If I'm running a TV show, I want to make sure I get to keep my TV show. I want my show to be entertaining. I want my show to get engagement. And I care about ad dollars. Because let me tell you all, if this show starts turning a legitimate profit based on a few topics, boy, we'll get up here and talk Cowboys all day.
Right.
We would carve out time to watch Cowboys games and talk Cowboys. I promise.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you just what I think about Dak Prescott and Jerry, Mike McCarthy, who the next coach is going to be. Like, I mean, things that I don't really care about. Yeah, I'll talk about it too.
Because you know what? Niggas want to keep their lights on. And if us getting up here and pivoting from a Falcons podcast to a Cowboys podcast puts real money in our pocket, boy, we'll bury the Falcons into hour 3. They'll be part of the culture.
Right. Because that'll be damn near exactly what it is, just culture. And so, but that's understanding things, unlike a lot of people. A lot of people just don't understand things. But just to hit on a culture, you don't even have to give it a separate segment. Yeah, the Atlanta water crisis situation, it was crazy, man. Friday, I had to go and get my daughter from school / date, whatever you want to call it. It's technically because school is over. I don't want to call it school, but it is school because it's kind of like a year-round school because she's going to enter pre-K this upcoming year. And so I had to go up there and get her, which, isn't an issue until, it is. Like, and it's like, well, I've got things I need to do. But I had to go and pick her up because the water went out. And I didn't know that the water had went out because I had taken a shower that morning. And her school is down the street from where I live. And so it was eye-opening to me just in a sense of, well, what could have happened to where you guys don't feel comfortable with them being there? Like, what do you mean the water went off? I guess. You mean that it won't be coming back on? Like, I understand why they have to leave. They have to leave because they can't use the bathroom. They can't wash their hands. Like, nothing can be done from anything that deals with water is like finito. And so,
including the Megan Thee Stallion concert.
which was another thing that went on with this. But point being, get her, do that, have her pretty much for the whole day, and then I take her to her mom's. And then the thing is that I'm waiting, so I'm like, okay, well, the water should come back on or whatever, and it does. It came back on. It came back on because I was able to take a shower later that day. Then I woke up the next morning, and then there was no water again. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? What happened? I was like, the water came back on, and now it's gone. And then we pretty much all day Saturday there was no water. It might have came on like really late.
The hotties were dry. They don't like being dry.
Yeah, and it was pretty much dry the whole day, the whole rest of the day. And then even the next day, it bled into the next day too, to a degree. And it was just like, all right, this is fucking nuts. And so I know that I watched Andre Dickens on the Mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens. No pauses here. That's his name, guys. Andre Dickens.
Got a funny Andre Dickens story after this.
He got on there and he basically said that the city, because even when I came in today, I saw that I haven't even checked my water, I guess. I haven't turned it on. I think I used the bathroom, but then again, there's already water still sitting in there. So I haven't really checked my water. But
where the hell do you shit?
No, I'm saying I've used the bathroom, but there's water already still sitting in there. Even if it was cut off, there's still water sitting in there to where if you flush it, it'll be normal because there's water still built up. It's not like you lose water. You just don't have it anymore. And so point being, I guess I haven't really checked it. But the thing is that even when I pulled in today, I saw a fire hydrant just spewing out water. I'm like, oh my God, this looks just like it looks on TV when they're saying the pipes have burst or something. So now I'm just like, all right, well, what's going on? And I think that what's going on is that, there have been a burst in pipes and essentially it's making its rounds around Atlanta because once one gets fixed, now the pressure moves on to another area of the city. But all in all, they're just going to have to, basically go in there and change the water system because there's been claims that some of this stuff is 70 years old. Then I heard it was 100 years old. And essentially, this is something that hasn't been addressed. And then Andre Dickens essentially came out and said that it would be in the B's that they would be asking for from the federal government to help cover this. But it's something that the city's got to get figured out.
They're going to figure it out before the World Cup. We'll be fine. We're not from Michigan.
But I applaud him for even saying that and being candid about it's going to be in the B's what he asked for. Now, I don't know what that has to do with my tax dollars, but at the same time, it makes a ton of sense because fix it. Don't put a Band-Aid on this. Let's fix, please, can we please fix this? Because this has honestly been some bullshit.
Let's let's repipe the city and stop fucking around and get this shit right, And
that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're gonna have to just redo the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that shit's crazy. We could talk about Darren Waller turning into a singer because his NFL career is over. We're not. We could talk about 50 going to Congress and asking for more black ownership in liquor, but nigga, no.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
We could talk about some crazy Kanye allegations or some crazy Dream allegations, but I'd rather wait. So yeah. This is your culture hour, nigga.
Right.
Andre Dickens. Get the water fixed, baby. Hey, let me tell you a quick funny story about Andre Dickens. So I met Andre Dickens week 1 last year.
At the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hammered. I don't remember.
Carolina. We played Carolina.
Yeah, I was hammered. Don't remember meeting him. I was in a box with him, and I was slump asleep. Pretty embarrassing. Shout out to people who were there to protect me and say that I was tired and I had a long night before. But yeah, I definitely drank too much on an empty stomach. It is what it is.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you said something and like you guys. I met a former mayor.
You made
as
Sutter
well.
Franklin?
It was Kasim. I met Kasim. So I'll tell this story real quick. I met Kasim Reed. I went to New Orleans in 2013.
Uh-huh.
I was there. We played them the year after we went to the NFC Championship game. We played New Orleans week 1. Fake ID. Got into Harris. I got into Harris. I didn't meet him there. So this is the funny part. Went to Harris. It was the first time I ever, and it worked because it was a real ID. It wasn't me, but they didn't even, I guess they didn't really check it. They just scanned it. So got it. I can only imagine if it was fake and what would have happened. But like the thing is, doesn't matter. Yeah. Got in, did that. We went to Denver earlier that week because they played Baltimore. Baltimore had won the Super Bowl the year prior, but they played Denver in Denver, and it was Peyton Manning. It wasn't his first game. It was his second season in Denver. They went to the Super Bowl that year, actually, but he broke the record. I was at his record-breaking game. Just all this is backstory. Point man, go to New Orleans, do that. But I have to leave early, so I didn't even get to finish watching the game. We were actually getting beat by New Orleans pretty bad to start that game. I think we lost by 2 touchdowns. I don't know. Point man, had to leave. So I had to go to the airport, went to the airport, and then lo and behold, I meet 2 separate groups of people. I met a ton of people, but I was drunk as shit too. Like I was drunk as shit. I met Thomas Decoe's parents. I still have his dad's number for whatever reason. It's in my phone. Thomas Decoe's dad. He was there getting on the same flight as me. We talked for a minute. And then I also sat next to former mayor of Atlanta, Kasim Reed.
Okay.
Me and Kasim Reed spoke. I probably talked to him for like 15 or 20 minutes. Because like I talked about, it was general conversation. It really, I didn't have shit to do with the city. More Falcon talk than anything, but like we were just talking about, like I was just talking to him.
You're shooting the shit with him.
Yeah, because I was drunk, so like I didn't really care. Like I didn't ask him, man, how does that feel? I did actually ask him. I was like, what's it like being mayor? Like I asked that question, but like I wasn't sitting. I wasn't like politically like
correct
going at him. Yeah, about anything. Like I wasn't politically going at him. Like just to ask political questions. Like it had nothing to do with the city of Atlanta, basically, when I was talking to him. But he asked me where I went to school. I told him because I was, at the time, I was a junior at Morehouse. So, like, I'm like, yeah, I was like, I go to Morehouse, this, that, and the third. He's like, oh, what do you major in this? Like, he asked, good dude. I knew that he went to Howard, but he told me, he's like, he went to Howard. I was like, yeah. I was like, cool. I was like, did you go to the game? Like, are you going? Like, you know what I mean? Because we were playing them. So, like, and of course, he thinks that Howard's better than Morehouse, which is just like, nigga, you're the mayor of Atlanta. I don't care what you got to say. Yeah. And so, but it was a random cool thing because we were on the same flight together. Of course, he sat in first class. I went to like row 26. But
hey, you remember when we went to Parlor? Probably the last time we went to Parlor, and I bummed that cigar off that dude. Yeah,
because that's the dude who bought it from that's whoever bought it.
That's who bought it. So
I think it is.
He's a Morehouse guy, and he was in Kasim Reed's camp.
Really?
When he was running for mayor the first time, because I went out and got paid some fucking acorns to go out there and pass out literature. You know, it was like $50 for a college nigga. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a bottle. Thank you. Yeah, I hit the streets for Kasim for a bottle of liquor. What else do I have to do on a Saturday morning?
Right.
Recover from a hangover, nigga. so and you know, back then a hangover lasts like 15, 20 minutes. You know.
Sometimes longer.
Yeah. Now niggas get that week-long hangover where it's like, oh man, I'm so tired.
Yeah, I'm saying back then, sometimes 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, I tell you what, you had more of enough get up and go to continue drinking.
Yeah, well now
that always cures a hangover.
Well,
more
now
cures a hangover.
I'm gonna tell you now, if I gotta go do something in the morning,
Probably won't drink the night before.
and if I do, and I wake up when the alarm goes off, oh yeah, I gotta take a double just to get functioning. Wife, drive me there, drop me
Right.
off, pick me up, because tell you what, I'm not passing out campaign literature after a Friday night anymore.
Right.
Not for them fucking acorns they gave us, nigga. You gotta pay me real money.
Yeah.
I have value. I know my worth. But hey, Parlay Pete, this was a great show. Fucking enjoyed it, man. It was great catching up with you prior to the show. Great catching up with you on the show. We didn't really talk about Justin Jefferson breaking the bank. Who cares? We didn't care. We didn't talk about Dak and CD and Micah and all of that shit. But honestly, those aren't dated topics because none of these niggas are getting paid right now.
Exactly.
So we can talk about it whenever we talk again.
Exactly.
So, hey, man, thanks. Appreciate it. Hey, to the listeners, we're going to be in an alternative schedule. We both have like real life shit happening, and it's kind of more important than this podcast. So, we'll be back for NFL preview. And anything you get from us between now and NFL preview, it's a fucking gift.
Consider it a bonus, guys.
All right, dog. It's great talking to you. I'll holler at you. I'm sure I'll call you tomorrow night during or after the game.
Let's do it.
All right, dog.
Salutations, good people.
Out of here.
All right.